and welcome to a very spontaneous live stream because tonight I was planning to go to sleep and then I realized I missed this podcast and I really wanted to watch it. As you can see, 11 days ago from Thomas. And this guy actually inspired me to become a game developer in the near future where I will have free time as well. I hope this live stream works. I am not really sure about it. Let me just give it a try. It's supposed to work, but why is it upcoming? That's weird. Let's try again. Okay, so we are live, guys. Nice. Okay, great. So as you can see, we got this web camera. I know it's very weird, like the angle and the frame, but it's on purpose made for this video, especially because you will see the webcams from these two guys, and this is exactly why I put myself like this, because I have created multiple cameras, so you can believe me, it's on purpose. Now let's do our thing and we will jump right into it. As you can see, this podcast is 1 hour long almost, so that's how much I'm planning to have. Okay, this is not. I've also added comments on my display, so now everything is fine. Live streams are on the next level, and yeah, let's. Oops, my bad. Wait a second. Yep. Okay, let's jump into our podcast. The internet is not that great, but I'm just waiting a bit for it to load. Yeah, I hope this live stream is gonna work fine. Okay, guys. Let's see the volume on purpose made for. Yeah, everything works. Now let's go and let's start the video.
Okay, guys, thanks for being willing to chat. I'm really excited to get to know you guys and learn more about how you went full time and how you made your game Outbound freaking explode. I mean, I think you told me you have 100,000 wish lists now for your game Outbound, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had 100,000 after a month. We now have almost 200,000.
Good, great. That's freaking incredible. You know that when you launch that game, you guys are going to make a lot of money, right?
Yeah, I mean, our expectations were like, I mean, we try to keep it down.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. I already like the vibe of this podcast. It's gonna be great. What I wanted to check was the sound. No.
Thanks for being willing to chat. I'm really excited to get to know you guys and learn more about how.
Yeah, I mean, we had 100,000 after a month. We
Yeah, okay, everything works perfectly fine. I don't have to worry anymore. Let's have fun.
I know the feeling. It's hard to not get like super excited because I've had friends, game developers, who they have 100,000 wish lists and it just doesn't convert, you know. But the difference I think is wish lists that you get over 2-year period and then wish lists you get quickly, because what you guys have right now is what you would call, like with a sales term, it would be like warm leads. They're very warm wish lists, meaning they're much more likely to convert because I think you got them recently, you know.
Yeah, but that's also you also got to take into account the timeline of your development, of course.
It's very interesting that a bush that I used in my first game ever, it's here as well. It's I think a $5 asset, because I got it for free and then I saw, oh, this actually now is not priceless anymore, so yeah.
list, right? I mean, what do these wish lists do over time? I mean, they're certainly hot and good right now, and they are, like, when we talk about it, we certainly feel they are currently valuable. They're more valuable than what did you say again during
like Steam Fest wish lists, like if you launch a prologue, for instance, like these. I mean, we did like we learned a couple of lessons with Above Snakes because we got a lot of wish lists from these sources, and they didn't convert as well, to be honest.
Oh. Yeah. Well, let's talk about Above Snakes. So just sort of I would love to, we got to introduce you guys actually. Toby and Mark, introduce yourselves. Tell us about like the games you've made and sort of your journey to where you have gotten right now, which is frankly, I would call 100,000 wish lists a huge success, and you haven't even launched your game. So what is the story and who are you guys from the beginning all the way to now?
Sure. I'm gonna start. I'm Toby because my journey kind of starts earlier. I began developing like small games like a couple of years ago, where I like published them on itch.io, like even as a kid or as a teenager.
What is that? Let's see. Okay, maybe another platform and the captions just.
Thanks for being wish list a huge success, and you haven't even launched your game.
Let's get back.
I created like mods for like Warcraft 3, for instance, or I tinkered around with Mario game level editors and that kind of stuff. But my game developer journey really began with Above Snakes. There was a title that I started as a solo developer in 2021.
It was called different.
It was called Lonesome at first. Yeah, but I mean the prototype before was called Lonesome, and then in 21 I signed with a publisher called Critivo, and together we decided to rename it to Above Snakes. So I launched for that game together with the marketing efforts of Critivo. I launched a Kickstarter campaign in early 2022, and that is.
Let's see. I don't know why, but the captions are just something else tonight, I swear. I also wanted to see like Square Glade games. Okay, good to know.
When you backed the game actually.
Yeah.
And you found me.
I found the game first online, and I thought it had great potential, and looked just really cool, just dropping these little land tiles in and being able to explore them, and so I started following the Kickstarter, and then the Kickstarter came out, and I had already sent a message at one point to Toby, but he was very busy, so
I ignored him actually.
Yeah. And so then on Kickstarter, I actually backed it, and then that had a prompt that you could message the team, and so I was like, all right, let me message him and see if I can get in contact, because I really needed a hobby, and the hobby was I thought, okay, why don't I just go and do game development, like maybe I can help somebody make a game, and back to Toby.
Yeah, so awesome. we continued developing the game together. Like for Mark it was a hobby, for me the Kickstarter was the time to quit my day job. I was a web developer, and so I quit that job. I mean, it was for me like a pretty like kind of risky decision, because I mean it was a well-paying job, obviously. I mean, software development. And also very stable income, honestly. So, and the Kickstarter was funded with about 60,000, a little less, I think 55 or something thousand euros, or like US dollars, basically the same. Yeah. But there was still a runway to create the game, and so Mark offered his help, and we continued as a team. And the game Above Snakes ultimately came out a little over 1 year later, I think 1.5 years later or something, after the Kickstarter. So there was last year.
May 23.
May 23, the game came out. And I mean, it did pretty well. It was not like a phenomenal success, but it was still like a very big success.
Hey, hi there, what's the subject today? Today I just want to relax after a lot of programming. I'm sorry I can't see the comments. Only you are able to see the comments now. You can see I improved, I added a display. Actually, I don't really like the angle of the camera. Let me maybe zoom it a little bit more, or I don't know if I can. Hold on one sec. I'm trying my best. If it doesn't work, well, it's fine. Anyways, so the subject today is that we are gonna react to this podcast with these three amazing game developers. This is Thomas, you can see. This is his channel, and this guy's created Outbound. This game, can't wait for it. It's in my wish list. It's a very interesting concept. You can search for it and find out more. And maybe I will change the title and the description, and I will add this stuff. How are you tonight? Game developers out. Maybe reacting to game developers about Outbound. Could work. Okay. That's for you, and the official video, let's say. I'm gonna put this in the description so you will also find it later on. Yeah, Thomas is very famous, I know, and I really like everything that he's doing, and I feel like he's also giving away for free a lot of free resources, which is great in my opinion. So yeah, I've checked all his videos about how to plan your game. They have very interesting content. Yeah, indeed. What is... I really agree with you. Hold on, let's see if the live stream works. How are you? That's for you. And oh, and the comments are not really... Oop. I see. Now should be okay. Only you can see yourself. Oh my god, what's going on with this camera? Hold on, I have to zoom in a little bit more because I don't know why it's not working anymore. I'm trying my best. Maybe I can video zoom. Okay. Oops. Oh no, what happened? Something strange is going on. I don't know what's up with this color. It's very weird. What's going on tonight? I messed up. It was better, but anyways, feels like I'm just gonna... Oh god. Okay, let's get back to the podcast. Then he always want to sell his courses. That's true, but he also has some free courses which I'm planning to record with you and do live streams with them. I'm doing great things right now playing Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know what's that. Let's check it out. Oops. Ooh. Wait a sec. Damn, this is very interesting. Nice. I like it. How is it? Do you like it, or I'm gonna go back to this?
success, especially on the scale of indie games, was a pretty big success for us, and for such a small team, it was pretty good.
Well, let's try and define. It did pretty well. That's what you said. Let's try and define that without giving the exact numbers, because I can imagine you probably don't want to do that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah, and most people don't. And I don't for a lot of my games too. So it's totally fine. But let's try and define that. Would I be correct in saying that it supported your?
I think I'm gonna switch from my phone camera to my face cam camera. Wait a second. Okay, this is pretty strange. But you can try. I'm very sorry for what's going on tonight, but I want to make sure everything works perfectly fine. Okay, and maybe now we can get back to it. Wait, 1 more second. I'm in my bed, and this is why it's very weird, the angle, but I will try my best. Okay, maybe I should have started again, but anyways, it's gonna be fine. Okay, yes, BG3 was the GOAT in 2013. It's one of the best RPG ever created. Wow. Okay, good to know that then. Very interesting. I swear I don't know how to see it, and I'm apologizing constantly because I really can't find the best angle for it, but I will try my best. Okay. Now let's finally get back to it. I hope now it's fine and it's alright. Otherwise, I'm gonna restart the whole live stream, but yeah. Okay, it's good for now.
Salary for a couple years, is that good enough?
Yeah.
But it's not like gonna turn you into a cigar smoking yacht owner.
Exactly. It's not like you would release Valheim or something like that. So it was like, for an indie game, it was good.
Yeah. Right. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about sort of how Outbound may perform as well. I want to talk all about Outbound because just to give a quick summary for people listening, Outbound looks incredible. And I think the reason why Outbound is getting so many wish lists is because of three things. The first thing is the mechanical hook being, well, I get to soup up my van and live off the grid. That's a really, really cool hook. For the mechanics of the game. The second reason I think it's blowing up is because of the visual hook. It kind of looks like Firewatch, and it's just Firewatch has a very unique look, and I think you guys have just killed it with that look. The story hook is, again, it's very similar to the mechanical hook, which is I'm gonna go off the grid. I mean, that's a really cool narrative to experience, and so I think you guys have just killed it with Outbound because of you've just really focused on a very strong and precise hook. Now my question to you is, was that the intention with Outbound? Did you think very precisely about those hooks? Or
yes. Sorry.
One thing I can mention about Thomas is that every time in every video he mentions about hooks. These are very important not only for him but for every game developer, I'm pretty sure, because if you don't have a hook, the player is gonna get bored very easily after, let's say, he will finish the game for the first time. That's the point when you need to ask yourself, is he gonna come back? Because if he will, then that's a great game. Not for the entire world, but for you as a creator. That's the point, I feel like.
Or did you just say, "Oh, that sounds fun, let's do it"?
No, that was definitely the intention. We had a lot of lessons learned from Above Snakes, and we and then we started doing prototypes of these little games, these little ideas, and eventually, you know, this was all basically bathed in just market research and really looking at, okay, what do people want, what exists out there right now, and eventually, you know, finding a niche that you're very excited about yourself, but also that people,
because if you don't, you get very bored and very easy, and that's not what we want.
Still want that's a product that's not out there. And, you know, eventually we came to this idea and we were like, wow, this is a fantasy of our own, owning one of those vans and just going out there. But we're, you know, making games, so why don't we make a game about that? And then that just sort of like took off, and people loved it so much. And you know, being able to turn that idea into a visual hook, and then very early on creating that trailer, that just did very well for us.
Yeah. And how many views did the trailer get?
Yeah, IGN posted it on their channel, and it got like over 400,000 views up to date. So yeah, that did pretty good.
Amazing, guys. That is so good. Oh, I love that. Okay, so sort of to conclude there, being...
I'm also kind of excited about this game because it feels like it's my type based on the design and on the concept itself, like traveling in a van. I mean, that's great. I would love to try and play this game. It's already in my wish list thanks to this podcast, because I saw it almost 2 weeks ago, and I was like, this seems interesting. Let me add this to my wish list, and I will watch the podcast later on. And I didn't really have time for it, and now because I worked the whole day on programming, I thought, okay, maybe now is the time. I feel like watching something about game dev because I don't want to let this fire disappear within myself, so I have to reflame it or something like that. So here I am.
Intentional. See, here's the problem. There's a lot of purist game developers out there, and it's totally fine to be a purist. It's totally fine to be, you know, motivated purely by your joy of making games, which I think is great, and I'm motivated by that, and I'm sure you guys are as well. However, my question is, do you feel like it's profitable and just a good thing overall for game developers to think about and to focus on if an idea is marketable?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where we came from after Above Snakes. Like we had a little kind of like like a diagram where we had like a couple of points where we said, okay, this is important to us because the joy of creating games is also the joy of seeing people enjoying the game, right? I mean, if we would like create something and it ends up on Steam with like mostly negative reviews or something, or nobody even plays it, I mean, then that's not really something we...
Hello and welcome everyone on this live stream. I'm very glad there are a lot of people watching right now, and I'm also surprised because I didn't expect at this late hour, at least for me in Europe. I don't know about in your country, but yeah, thank you very much, and let's enjoy this podcast together.
We would enjoy. So yeah, we were very intentional about, we have a couple of like points that we think that people really want to see in a Steam game nowadays. And so we try to check these boxes and also combine it with a fantasy that was really strong. I mean, not just for us, but also what we thought is strong for people. And I think even more importantly, we found this niche of where we have, like there are a lot of open world crafty games right now, right? I mean, it's just a trend currently. But we found a niche in these games where normally you have a home base somewhere, like let's take Valheim for instance. You create like a cabin somewhere in the woods, and that's your home base. You bring your stuff to that base and build and whatever. And in Outbound, the big difference is you can take this base with you and you can travel with that base. So you're not bound to one location.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing that we just realized, like over the last couple of weeks when we did,
this is what's different about this game and what is gonna make it special, because I didn't hear about this concept before. I mean, I'm not a huge gamer. I mean, I'm not a gamer at all if I'm gonna rely only on Steam or something, because I haven't really played that many games from Steam. I just heard about them and maybe watched other YouTubers playing them. But yeah, I feel like this is something special in it, this game.
Did our first playtest.
Okay, so we got a comment. From my point of view, as a person who worked in startups which survived and got profitable, the most important is that your project is aligned with your budget and team skills. Yeah, and that you stick to a deadline. That's also true. So budget and team skills, correct. And for indie games, you gotta pick one core points and execute them greatly, and avoid. Hold on. And avoid quick or something. Yeah, that's true. Thank you very much for sharing.
Outbound is still suffering from that idea that so many players have, is that they need to return to their base. They need to walk out and they need to return to their base. And they forget to drive, which was such an interesting find that players just forget it.
How do you fix that?
Well, we're in the process of trying different things.
Is there a way to incentivize it and make it part of the loop?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying.
Nudges here and there, bigger goals, trying to deplete certain things in the area, giving
That's
other...
a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying all kinds of different things right now.
Yeah, you hear it. We're in the middle of playtesting at the moment, the first playtest for the demo.
Yeah. How's that feel?
Yeah, great, right? I mean, first time seeing the game being played.
I would define it as so fun and stressful.
Yeah,
it's so stressful. It's kind of like I don't know. This might be a little bit too extreme, but it's like being butt naked and having somebody like critique you. I mean, that's how it feels for me when we're having internal play testing right now for Twisted Tower. And actually, one of my good friends, the creator of Cultic, his name is Jason. He's also playing Twisted Tower as well, and it's tough, because like not only do you have 1,000 items, you still haven't even finished for the game. Then you've got playtesters going, "Hey, this is a priority. This is a priority. This is a priority," and so they're creating more stuff for you, and it makes it that what they're saying feels way more of a priority than all the other stuff you originally thought was a priority, because it's actual players who are playing the game.
And how do you order?
It's
right?
a pile.
I played the games released by Thomas' team, and you can see that executed very well. Now he has a bigger team and he's doing the same, but with more ambitious ideas, only few but more complex. Yeah, indeed, I'm also following him and I'm up to date with what he is doing. Okay, the comments, you can see the comments, that's great. Yeah, I really respect him for everything that he's doing, because he's very passionate about it. I mean, all these years passed and he still talk about it like he just got into it, which for me is great, because this passion kind of fills me up and gives me more inspiration and stuff to do my own thing. So yeah, this is why I also really like and respect this guy.
How do you order, like, if one person says something?
The only game I published was around one core mechanic and got around $100K in 8 months. It taught me that this is a way to go with indie games. Nice. Wow. What's the name of the game? You made me curious now.
Is that enough to make a change in the game? How do you do that?
For me, I weigh. This is gonna sound terrible. I try not to show favoritism in my life. Like if somebody's successful, I try not to show them favoritism. Because I used to do that, and I think that's just a terrible way to be. A lot of like social media influencers and like business people, like motivational influencers, they say surround yourself with people more successful than you.
Yes, Thomas is great at communication too. Not only dev itself. Exactly, he's a sales guy. He can sell everything. I feel like.
The problem with that is you basically are just a leech. And with game development, I think it's really, really good to surround yourself with all kinds of different people. So for one, you surround yourself with players, just people who play games, right?
Yeah.
But then you surround yourself with people who are developers, who are very, very successful. And so for me, I've found that during internal playtesting, so like the very, very, very beginning of playtesting, where it's not public at all, it's probably best to get the top tier game developers, friends in your circle, who have created a game in your niche that's super duper successful. So for me, I think Jason, the creator of Cultic, he has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to listen to that guy for now.
Yeah.
And that helps you prioritize the real big glaring issues. Because it's one thing for a beta testing audience to pinpoint bugs. It's another thing, though, for someone who's testing your game to say, hey, there's like 20 things that are wrong with this game, but I can tell.
I did not update the game for a few years, and I think it's being removed from Google Play. I believe you can still install the application from non-official sites, though, but I would not recommend it. The game was Sweet Mind for Android. Okay, may I check it out here on Livestream if you don't mind? If you don't like it, I won't do it, but if it's okay with you, I can check it on my laptop and you can also see like everyone that watches the Livestream right now.
Tell you the one thing that's going to get you mixed reviews on Steam, and here it is. Bang, this is the thing. And so for you guys, maybe during testing, you would find somebody who's super duper successful and who's created a base defense game. I guess that's the genre, right? Something like that.
But again, I didn't update it for years, mainly because I couldn't monetize it, as it was done for Google as a summer job. I see. Damn. That's sad, but you got experience, so you still gain something from it.
Open
You would
world,
find someone in that genre.
Yeah. I think it's an open world exploration or crafting game.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you find the guy or gal who made a game that's wildly successful, not necessarily in its financials, but just successful in its reviews, that got a good response. Because that person understands. And the reason I'm rambling here is because I'm going through this right now, where we're wrapping up the development of Twisted Tower, and I'm like, okay, I've got 400 things that are wrong with this game. What do I prioritize for my team and my budget?
Yeah.
And I've just decided I'm gonna listen to the people who have done this, who have created a first person shooter in this genre and did it right. Because for first person shooters in particular,
I've heard a quote once that said, take advices only from people that you would love to switch your life with. So if you don't believe it's worth living their life, then don't take their advice. I mean, it's kind of extreme, but I really like the mechanism behind it, like this way of thinking. Somehow it motivates me and inspires me to watch people that are more professional in what they're doing. So yeah. Okay, let's see. You can see Thomas working on Twisted Tower like every week on Twitch. You learn a lot watching him. Yes, I know. I'm watching him on YouTube. I don't watch him on Twitch because I don't really use Twitch, honestly. I don't know why. I've never been a Twitch person. It comes natural opening YouTube and watch a video, but with Twitch, I actually forget that Twitch exists, honestly. So yeah, also maybe I can remove the delay because there's a little bit of a delay when you read the comments and me when I'm reading them. So just wait a minute. Also because of the internet, most likely. Okay. No, apparently 0. That's weird. Hold on, just give me one more minute. It's gonna be fixed. Okay, chat for podcasts. And also, how many chats do I have? Browser chat for podcasts. I think this is actually no. I got so many. Today I played with OBS a bit and I found out how to put a frame for my facecam and how to make the comments appear just like that, so it's gonna be easier for you as well. Let's get back.
And
hold on, we got another comment. And you said, it makes sense, I guess. I would take advices only from people who can show and not only tell. There are way too many blah 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 people on internet. You gotta be selective. Yes, and I'm very happy that you are watching my live stream right now, and I don't have any experience in this field, but you are still watching, which I don't know, it makes me feel very good about it. I recommend you Pirate Software, a developer which streams on YouTube and is now on the game dev. He used to work for AAA Games at something with Blizzard. Okay, I think I know the guy. A friend of mine also told me about it. I think it's that guy. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's that guy. A friend of mine told me about him, but thank you very much.
And we could talk about open world, but with first-person shooters in particular, there are a few things that will drive an audience crazy and force them to get a refund or do a mixed reviews. You know, so I'm trying to say, okay, there's 20 things wrong, but I really can only focus on a few things that are going to help me avoid creating a disaster. And I'm curious if you guys have found that there's just a couple things that you have to get right for Outbound for it to be a successful game. Not in the marketing, but in the actual launch. Have you found that one thing?
Show motivation and learning effort, that's to be respected. Yes, that guy is great. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, I'm trying my best.
I think what I would answer is that there's a big variety in things that you're allowed to do and hopefully successfully allowed to do in a game. Because what we're seeing, and you know, we've had a couple of other game devs play, but we've also had just, you know, random or people from our community play, and we always ask them like, hey, what kind of a player?
Hold on. Make video games. Okay. I will watch it. Maybe let's see how long it is. This one. Oh, it's 44 minutes. Maybe we can watch it together. Honestly, it depends on how tired I will be after this one, but I really want to finish this one.
Where are you? Or what kind of games have you played normally? Do you play survival craft games? Do you know? Some people really pick up on the visual language that we give them of, all right, chop a tree, pick up a rock and go build with that. But our game, Outbound, is really so, or we try to make it so wide in the things that you can do, you know. We really see these explorers, they immediately want to go out and then see what the world is. We see these builders, we see these min-maxers of, okay, how can I automate so much of it that I, you know, make my life easy? And there's just cozy gamers that just want to build the van. And I think...
Yeah, thank you very much. I will keep that in mind.
I think, you know, if we do that thing correct, that we have that variety, that's what's gonna make players happy. But what's your take?
Yeah, probably.
The reason that's tough is because it sounds expensive. It's like I have to make a game make a game that pleases. It's like 5 children. It's like you have 5 kids.
If you watch it, I'll be here too. It's always great to watch it. So you really liked it. It means you very liked it. So yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And you're the parent, and one kid hates peanut butter jelly. The other one loves peanut butter and jelly. The other one wants a turkey sandwich, and then the other one is vegan. So it's like you have to make it for everybody, and that's the thing about these sandbox games, or not sandbox games, but like games.
Maybe even sandbox games.
That makes it tough, right? Because you've got to balance the game for all kinds of different players with different strategies.
Yeah, of course, and still, I mean, we're having these discussions like nonstop where we try to like keep the scope as small as possible while creating something that is as enjoyable as possible. So we need to cut corners here and there, and we need to say, okay, for instance, we decided against like a huge quest system with like NPCs, with side quests and that kind of stuff. We decided, okay, this is not for this game, because that would blow up the scope just like bigly. But instead,
that's a big decision.
Yeah, that's a big decision. But we're more focusing on like basically the van and what you can do on and inside the van, and that is something that we want to really like shine in this game.
Yeah, but in the meanwhile, just to add on to that,
basically their hook is the van itself, I think.
You can't just deliver an empty world, right? The world has to be meaningful. There has to be meaningful interactions in the world. So without having NPCs or without having a major quest line, all right, how do you fill that, right? And we have a lot of discussions about that as well, of leaving environmental clues or leaving pieces and bits of story of, okay, there might not be people right here, but there is still a little bit of a tent and a campfire, and so players actually wonder like, hey, what happened? And then so still you make the world meaningful, but it is a challenge to keep that scope down and to try and shine in what we feel the game really makes it good.
Yeah, I mean, imagine for instance Firewatch. Like Firewatch, you don't really feel lonely, right? I mean, if we like exclude Delilah from everything, still the world doesn't feel like abandoned or something. You find like campgrounds, I don't know, bonfires, tents, all that kind of stuff. You find it in the world. So it doesn't feel like you're the only person on the planet. But
so true that sentence about cutting corners. My current game in development is about 20% of the original scope. I got all that was not aligned with the core experience. Ooh, I see. And even like that, it will take me another year to finish. Oh wow. Good luck with your work, buddy. It will take a while, but keep in mind, good things take time, so you will get there.
Yeah. But there's still no like real like interactions with NPCs or something. And I'm actually very happy that you said it looks like Firewatch, because that is what we wrote in our game design document was like visuals. Let's make like Firewatch, but it's an open world game. And so I'm very happy that you picked that up.
There's more,
of course, but
yeah.
I think there's something to be said about Firewatch not feeling lonely, because I think there's a loneliness to it though.
Yeah, there's
like,
some. Yeah,
it's I would call it's similar to like a backrooms experience or a liminal space, where something feels recently abandoned. It's as if you're being watched. I get chills even right now thinking about Firewatch, because in Firewatch there is a sensation of being observed, but you don't know who's observing and you don't know where they are, and all you hear is the subtle wind, and you're talking to somebody on a walkie-talkie, but it feels that it was lived in, but it's not currently. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's also what we're going for. Like it should feel like post-apocalyptic, where everybody's dead or something. It should feel like recently there were people, but they're not here right now, you know?
Yep. Yeah. Man, okay, so how let's talk about this sort of figuring out genre and figuring out what the market wants. Okay. How do you guys know what the market wants? Is it because you are your market, that you love these kinds of games? Or is it that you've just done a lot of research into what these games need to provide and what players expect? How did you figure that out?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty much the second. I mean, we played like a couple of open world games, but we're not really that kind of a player. Like, or overall, I think, like, speaking for myself, I'm not really a gamer anymore. Like,
Let's see, having a day job plus family plus sport is taking most of my time. Time allocated for game dev is about 4 hours a week. That's why it takes a long time for me to move. I see. Yeah, but you will still get there, and you will be. I mean, keep this in mind. Imagine comparing yourself to a teenager that doesn't have anything else besides studying to do. And just by knowing the fact that you have all these things in your life, you will be extra proud by yourself in the end, like way more proud than the teenager or the guy that didn't have anything else besides just studying.
like if I can squeeze like 2 or 3 hours of gaming every week, that's like that's like maximum.
For me, it's it definitely dimmed down over the last time, but I used to be very much an open world player. I used to be way more of a, I guess you defined it as a PlayStation
The AAA kind of open world
player, and then went way more into indies later. But yeah, to come back to your question, I think we did a lot of research. I mean, so much looking into Steam, looking into the reviews, looking into the numbers, that you can get from SteamDB, and it's really doing a lot of research and then trying out different things, right? I mean, at one point we were like, okay, we got this great idea, but it wasn't the first idea that we had. Right after Above Snakes, we're like,
also don't forget that tomorrow I will be live with Unity with that lightning technique skills and stuff that I'm gonna also make a video out of if it's gonna pay it off. So yeah, if you can join, it's gonna be nice.
damn, let's go make Outbound. I mean, that it's also a process that's sort of like bathed in market research, I guess.
Yeah, and also we also reading like a lot of these meta analyses, like Chris Zukowski, Game Discover Co, Game Dev Reddit, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think we did our homework for sure before committing to an idea.
Okay. So let's shift gears here. I want to hear about how you went full time without even finishing your game. So this is really going to be a discussion about snakes. What I can't remember.
Above Snakes. Don't worry.
Above Snakes. Yeah. No. Lonesome. I can remember Lonesome.
Oh no.
We should tell that our publisher.
Sorry. Yeah. But let's shift gears and talk about how you went full time with just a demo. I mean,
tomorrow I'll join, I think. At what time is it? At 6 p.m. Europe time. But you said you told me where you live, so yeah, it's gonna be 6 p.m.
The thing is I say stuff like this on my channel, and I'll do YouTube videos about it, or I'll teach it in my courses or whatever, or how I did it, and it sounds so fake. It sounds like you can't do that. You can't go full time before you finish your game. What are you talking about? Quit lying to me. But my question to you is, that's what you did, right? And I think this is specifically for Toby. Toby, you went full time before you finished Outbound Snakes? No,
Above Snakes.
Lonesome. So you went full time, right? Before you finished it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So tell me how you did that, and in crafting this answer, if you could craft it so that if you were telling, I don't know, your son how to do it too, how to do it, because I want my audience to know that it is possible.
Okay. Yeah, I can try. So yeah, for me it was, as I said, I signed with the publisher Creativo, and they supported me mainly with like guidance. So they would tell me like what to do at what point. Like you need to release like a demo, you need to enroll to a festival, that kind of stuff. Like the actual path, how to get to the finish line with your game. And we also discussed with the deal that they would support me in my Kickstarter campaign, because I had that planned already, the campaign, before I even signed with them. And they would support me with their marketing power, and also, I think even more importantly, with their knowledge what to do with the Kickstarter campaign.
Was it also the outreach of to streamers, or?
Yeah, it was. They also provided me with helping with reaching out to streamers and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I mean, Thomas, you know that more than most people probably, like a Kickstarter campaign is not running by itself, right? I mean, it's a lot of work. No. It's not like
you definitely don't need a publisher to do that, because both my campaigns raised about 100,000 each, so I've got 2 of those, and I did that without an audience, which is crazy. I look back and I say, how did I do that? Because I didn't have a YouTube channel, I didn't really have a Twitter, and I didn't have a publisher. And point being, I'm sure that having a publisher helped a ton, because you've got to go figure out where to get those leads.
Exactly.
You know, because what I did with Pinstripe, I didn't know it at the time, but this is like this.
Pinstripe, what is that? Oh, it's his game. Damn. Okay, I see.
This is what Alex Hormozy teaches. Alex Hormozy is a big influencer that teaches about how to get leads.
I also watch Alex Hormozy. He's great.
And he's into sales and stuff. I had no idea what the standard was to get leads. I put that in quotes.
And I also forgot to do something that I'm gonna do right now, very quick. Wait a second. Not this one, but this one. Okay, my bad.
Leads to your Kickstarter campaign. And what I ended up doing is just reaching out to my close friends and family first. And starting a conversation with them and getting to know them again, because I had lost contact with a lot of them. And then you say, hey, by the way, I got a Kickstarter campaign. And then you text them all. You text them all the day you launched the campaign. And I got $7,000 in the first hour.
Wow.
So point being is, just because you don't have a publisher, just because you don't have an audience, doesn't mean you can't reach out to your friends and family and manipulate them into supporting you. And I'm being I'm being slightly sarcastic. However, that frankly is what I did. Is I just became friends with all my friends that I lost contact with, asked them what they thought about the campaign, and then I said, hey, it's launching. So I sent them a preview campaign, and then I was like, hey, it's launching in 2 days. Would you be willing to check it out now? Give me your feedback.
He is the salesman. He's the networker.
Apply your feedback. So now they're invested in the project. And then 2 days later, text them all, bang. And that's when $7,000 came in.
Smart.
Point being, it's okay to launch a Kickstarter campaign with nothing. But you had a publisher, which is awesome, because I'm sure they had a bunch of leads and they figured out how to get more leads for you.
Yeah.
The campaign.
Yeah, they had a big email list that they used for that. And also they helped, or we did like as a team effort, we reached out like to a ton of content creators, because we supported the Kickstarter campaign with a demo of the game. So we crafted this little demo of maybe 1 or 2 hours of gameplay that you were able to stream. And then we reached out to a bunch of content creators, and the Creativo reached out mainly like to the ones they already had like contact with. Like some big indie game streamers on YouTube, for instance, or on Twitch. And I personally, I reached out to a couple of German creators. Like I'm German. By the way, we are based in the Netherlands, but I'm German. So I was able to contact them like in their native language and tell them, hey, I'm also a German creator. I'm creating this game. Do you want to help me to make this my job? And yeah, I mean, combined both of these efforts, yeah, I mean, led to a bunch of streamers streaming the game or creating VODs about the game, and that was a lot of buzz, and that was enough.
What I also think that helped, but obviously that was from my perspective at that point. Like we said during the Kickstarter, I wasn't involved yet. We only just got to talking then. But it was for me, it was that visual hook from Above Snakes that immediately is also the mechanical hook. So you see these tiles drop down, and
I'm also into visuals a lot. Like for me, the design is on the first place in everything. If I don't like the design, well, I'm most likely not gonna play that game. I don't know why, it's just in my nature, I guess.
You get to explore them, and that was for me personally where I was like, wow, this is so awesome. But that means that also had a certain marketability, right? People are like, hey, what is this thing? And I don't know how it got onto my feed, but it did, and I got excited about it. And I think that was part of it, right? Say that you would have a publisher, say that you did everything the way that you did it right now, but you didn't have that visual hook, or you didn't have those little snippets, those little videos, that demo. I mean, it would just be, it wouldn't have probably gotten like that, right? So it's just...
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
I mean, for sure, like the product is the first thing. I mean, the sales pitch about like, sell me this pen. I think it's just bullshit. I mean, sorry, but I mean, if you don't have a pen that...
You know, I don't know if you guys know this. It's from the Wolf of Wall Street. He had a guy, and someone wanted to get a job at his company, I think, Leonardo DiCaprio's company in the movie, and he told him, sell me this pen, and he wasn't able to. He was like, no, how? And he got really nervous about it, and then Leo asked one of his colleagues to sell the pen, and the guy, I think, borrowed him a paper or something, and he was like, please sign this one for me. And the guy said, well, I don't have a pen. There you go, it's €2. And bam, that was the thing. And that's the inside of this one, I'm pretty sure. You can watch the movie, by the way, it's great. The Wolf of Wall Street. It's kind of crazy in sort of way, but if you watch it from a sales perspective, marketing perspective, I think it's a good movie.
And do something that other pens can't do, then you can't sell it.
Well, you could probably do that in the 90s, you know, when that, I think that's when that phrase was coined. But nowadays, it's like, you're competing with so many games that can be very similar to yours. So the way you stand out is with what I call the Trinity hook, which is your visual, your mechanical, and your story hooks. I mean, there's other ways to hook an audience, but those are my three. Now, here's the funny thing about everything you said, Toby, is that you said, well, I went full time because I did a Kickstarter campaign. But the question is, and I love that you brought this up, Mark, you brought this up, actually, the way we got funded, the way we found a publisher, was we had materials to show them. And so my question is, how much of a prototype did you have? Because I think people listening right now are thinking, ooh, maybe I could do what Toby did. Like, that's a dream come true. So I'm going to submit my 1-minute demo. And it's like, is 1 minute enough? Is it 10 minutes? 20 minutes? How polished does it need to be? And is my hook strong? So let's talk about that. How did you formulate a prototype that was then able to be used to get a publisher?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it could be very short, but you need to have enough to get people to get the hook or the hooks, or to get them into the game loop. Like, it could be like 1 minute for a game with very, like, I don't know, very simple mechanics. Mm-hmm. But this 1 minute is like the most polished demo you've ever created. And it shows like very clearly what it is. Like that's way better than, I don't know, you create like a one hour of content. I mean,
Yeah, I love that movie. Very representative of crazy stuff most of us cannot see.
no publisher ever will play 1 hour of your demo. No, nobody.
They might not even play your demo. They're going to see a screenshot first.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a trailer.
Or a video, or you record gameplay and then you send them the gameplay of 10 minutes or something. Yeah.
Super important. Yep.
Yeah.
But that vertical slice is important, right?
Yeah.
It has to have enough of the game's core mechanics or interesting ideas in it. And it doesn't have to be full-fledged. You can show if the main thing of your game is a dialogue system, you're fine to only show like 5 sentences. But at least you're showing that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think with Outbound, seriously, guys, you probably could have in a day made a mesh of a camper driving around with that sort of stylized shader, and then shown a screenshot of what it looks like, a concept of it expanded and decked out. And that would have been probably enough to capture a publisher's attention. Now, I would seriously, I think Devolver would probably bite. Definitely, I think Devolver would definitely bite because this looks right up their alley. But maybe I'm wrong. It's just such a good hook. So the whole point of this is that for those of you listening and you're thinking, what do I need to get a publisher? The answer is first and foremost, you need an actual hook. The question is, how do you know if something is an actual hook? And my solution, and then I'll pivot and ask you guys this, my solution to figuring out if something is actually a hook and it's not just something you're interested in is to pose it to your audience and see what they say. So if you have a Twitter or an Instagram or TikTok or whatever, or YouTube, see if they're interested, see if they like it. If you have a Discord community, pitch it there and see what people say.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you? How did you guys know that this was a good hook?
Exactly that answer repeated.
Yep.
I mean, we definitely are a big fan of showing things early and testing that, thereby testing things out. I mean, just being proud of your work is of course something, and being excited to show something, that's great. But it also has that added benefit of, okay, you can see the stats these days of what it does. You can see the stats of, hey, this tweet is really going great, or okay, this is nothing. And we're definitely looking into those stats, and by doing so, actually market testing the ideas that we had.
So if you had to if you had to package this up as a framework that you could give to your son who wants to go full-time indie, what exactly does he need in his pitch deck to go full-time, to get a publisher or to get crowdfunded on Kickstarter? What do you need?
Yeah,
I'd say great idea. That's where it starts. So
like a really good idea.
First, a good idea for a game. Then start looking into first little prototypes, and start possibly, if you have the means, fling those out in the world and verify that it's something, and then go with. I mean, we're big fans of a demo. Yeah. Even though we've heard also from some publishers that there's like, well, a trailer or just a pitch deck might be fine, like just a PDF with some shiny pictures. But we feel there's a lot of strength behind the good demo. It has to be a good demo, though. It has to be polished enough that, because in a demo they can do whatever they want, almost. Like, you don't have control, like in a trailer, you don't have control over what people see. So I'd say, and that might even be enough. And if you don't like creating shiny pictures, then focus on the demo, right?
Yeah.
If the demo is good, if you're not that great in creating shiny pictures and beautiful graphs with how much money you're going to make on this, then, go with the demo and do what.
I think it would depend on the creator and the game. Like if you're good with shiny pictures, then go for that.
Right.
If you're better with gameplay and game design, then go with the demo, and it can be all cubes and stuff, but it's like really good gameplay.
Yeah.
Then
Well, I think that it also depends on your sort of I don't know the right word, but like how many times you've done it, or like if you're a veteran or not. Because for me, I could probably get away with doing shiny pictures and a trailer and then a big description of what the game is, and then just send that off to publishers. And it's not because Thomas is cool, it's because Thomas has done it before, and so we trust him. So it really comes down to like trust, I think, is like, can you actually follow through and make a game out of this cool idea? Because I've had conversations with publishers where they hear an idea and they're like, oh yeah, that's we're sold, that's great. Whereas sometimes though, however, like with Devolver, I had a conversation with Devolver, they needed to see a lot. And this is no slight against Devolver if they're gonna, because they tend to make big investments. So if they're gonna make a big investment, then they really need to see a lot. They need to see pretty long demo. It needs to be like the screws are super tight. They need to see the all of the different plans for extending your loop and making it more complex, and they just needed to see a lot. Whereas some publishers don't. I think it really comes down to budget too, right? Like if you've got a budget for $1 million, then the publisher's probably going to want to see a very polished 15-20 minute demo, you know?
Yeah,
probably.
And it's also everything that you do, you know, if you're just starting out, it all goes on your own dime, right? Creating this polished trailer and everything, which can sometimes be an issue. And but to come back to what you mentioned about your reputation, I guess, knowing that people can actually finish a game. I do feel that if we purely look at the numbers of how many publishers came to Toby for Above Snakes and how many publishers are now reaching out to us, I mean,
I'm sure.
it can't just only be that trailer, right? It must be also that they're looking up like, hey, have these guys actually done something before? Oh, hell, here's Above Snakes. And so I'm sure, like, you know, it keeps the ball rolling, and that's why you can just send over a couple of shiny pictures and get a deal.
Yep. Well, let's shift gears here. I want to talk about the technical side of Outbound. You're using Unity, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why don't you just switch to Godot? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's wrong with us? What's wrong with us using Unity? Yeah, I mean, we were on the edge of switching, actually. To be honest, not to Godot, but to Unreal. I mean, our opinion right now about Godot is like it's a really cool tool, and it's really loved by indie developers. We're probably gonna get a bunch of hate by saying that, but it's not really proven at this point. Like for commercial games, I wouldn't go for Godot at the moment.
It's still in the testing phase. I think that if you wanna get a job, they are most likely gonna ask you about Unity or Unreal. No one's gonna mention Godot, so if you're gonna start working in that, it's gonna be mostly for yourself as a solo game developer. So yeah, this is why I'm okay with Unity by now.
Especially not if you want to ship on consoles later on. I want to have the options to ship on consoles. And so there are a couple of titles on Godot already, but they're very small, very simple. I think there's almost no 3D game on Godot that's out and like commercially kind of successful.
I'm not sure. Let us know in the comments, guys. Those of you listening, if there is. However, to your point,
I think Godot is cool, but not if you really want to release on consoles. Yeah, that's true.
About it being sort of, I don't think it's ready for console, and if it is ready for console, just
exactly what you said. Yeah.
Because of these ready for console.
I still stick with Unity, and if I want to continue with 2D games, I could consider Game Maker. So I guess that's a new platform, or am I wrong? Game maker. Let's see, what is that? You made me curious now. The best free video engine. Wow. Can you believe I've never heard of this before? This is the first time when I'm hearing about it. Okay, that's interesting. Thank you very much again.
Console doesn't mean that it's
Well, he just said it. Yeah.
efficient and effective.
Right.
So like I've ported to console twice and I'm on my third time porting Twisted Tower to console. And
Game Master is an engine for 2D games, maybe the best. Ooh. Good to know. Thank you very much.
granted, every single time I always partner with a porting studio. So it's like we're sort of sharing the load.
Makes sense.
It is so difficult. It is so difficult.
And by the way, I remember that you're working on a game with Zelda something, like all the new styles combined. And as far as I remember, it's a 2D game, so I guess, I mean, I don't know if you're using Unity or Game Maker. You made me curious now.
To port to console. And that's with Unity, and Unity has, I would argue, the best tools for porting to console. And they have the best support, and they have the best resources and documentation for and also just they're connected to all of these. They're connected to Microsoft, you know, and they have contacts with Microsoft, and they're working together to put these SDKs and game kits together to build out your game for console. Point being, if it's that difficult and that much of a challenge for Unity, I can't imagine that Godot is ready yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It will be, and I think people should be patient. And I've had some people say, well, Thomas, it's called having a backbone. And I'm like, no, a backbone is not going to help me. What I need is 2 years. And just to wait for Godot to get ready, to get all those resources available for porting to console. I don't have 2 years. I have a contract with a publisher, and I've got to get a game done.
Yeah.
I'm using Unity mainly for the portability and the huge community. You find anything wrong to dev on Unity. That's also true. But you know, now back to what Thomas said about Godot, that Godot needs 2 years until it's gonna be like trustful or something. I have 2 years. I actually have 2 years. And now I'm thinking if I'm gonna be one of the, if I'm gonna be like the first ones getting to know Godot better than the others that already have insights of Unity and Unreal, maybe it's gonna help me in the future a little bit more, because there won't be so many experienced Godot users, so I can create content for Godot users. That's a point of view. Also, in the Unity store, you can buy cool stuff very cheap to speed up your game dev. I know, and this is why I also love Unity Game Store. For me, Unity Asset Store, it's like Christmas, literally. Godot needs more than 2 years. More than 2 years. If you don't plan on releasing a game in 2 years, then yeah, try Godot. The thing is, I'm also studying, and I don't know, I feel like I have free time, but I have to manage it very well to be able to pass all my exams and be up to date to what is happening in class, go to the courses, and maybe create a game. That needs time management. I see. I'm gonna think about it. If you are going to make a 2D game, try Game Maker or keep going on with Unity. The thing is, I've started doing that game. If you watch the video about I made the game in Unity in 1 day. I started it. I really liked how it looks like, and my idea was I'm gonna build up on this because I have the main scene, let's say, and I'm just gonna add like levels and actions and things that are happening, and then I'm gonna develop and build up more on it. So yeah, time management is key to get things done. I know, right? In everything, not only in game dev. Let's get back to this, guys.
I mean, that was for us the exact same reasoning. I mean, we were definitely considering making a switch, and then it was also just a decision on, okay, this is going to take so much time to switch to a different engine.
For us, not for a game, but for us to switch. Yeah, as
switch,
a person.
That after Above Snakes we wanted to switch for Outbound to Unreal or Godot. I mean, it would just be such a learning curve for us to do that, and we looked at it.
Stay tuned because I'm planning to try all the engines out there that are free. So just turn on the notifications on my channel and be ready, guys, because after I'm gonna finish with these exams, which means 14th of June, I'm gonna be here full time, like focusing all my attention on YouTube and C# as well.
We made estimations on how much is this going to take, and we just couldn't afford it. We just don't have that time right now to actually go and do that. And so eventually it was let's stick with Unity.
Yeah, exactly.
That was one of the reasons.
And same with Godot. I feel there are a lot of people that are really like advocates for Godot, and they're really defending it in the community and that kind of stuff, and that's fine. But there's a difference like between like being an indie developer in the evenings.
So you want to make a 3D game, right? Yes. And I would stay in Unity and give Godot a try to compare before really deciding. Exactly, that's what I have in my mind. But now I'm very curious if, for example, I build something in Unity and I want to put it in Godot, if I can somehow transfer it, but I don't think so, because all the assets I get them from Unity Asset Store, so I don't think they are compatible. It basically means I want to switch things from Android to iOS. I think it's the same thing and it's not gonna work. So yeah, I have to think about it, but it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an adventure.
Because it's your hobby and you're advocating for something, or it's your job and it's your business that you're running, and there are a lot of costs involved in switching to another engine. So
yeah, I mean, we could definitely talk about the bell curve here, because I know that there's going to be outliers who are Godot developers, and they are going to make their game for Switch or Xbox, and they can raise their hand and say, hey, I'm doing it. What are you talking about? I'm a Godot developer and I'm making a fully fledged commercial game, so you're wrong. And my point is, yes, that's awesome, but I think most developers they're already stressed out. They're already trying to get their game done, and they're trying to find the motivation to finish their game. And then
it's a big difference. I see. Thank you for letting me know. I'll keep that in mind.
On top of that, you have more stress of, well, this feature isn't supported, and this renderer isn't supported, and actually you can't port to this console with this type of 3D art, with this poly count, with this kind of lighting. And so you get all this stress because it's not yet supported in the way that Unity is. So that's why I'm not an advocate for Unity or Unreal or Godot. I'm just an advocate for getting your game done. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's also true. And keeping in mind that I don't have that much let's say I'm very new into programming and I don't have that much experience. Finding something for Unity is gonna be way more easier than finding something in Godot. For Godot, I know you can pay some companies 5 to 10k to port your game for consoles. Jesus Christ, I would prefer doing this money by putting out my game and not paying someone to transfer my game. That's very sad. Actually, I can try it by myself. It's gonna be interesting if I wanna try this by myself. I will keep this in mind. It's a new idea for a new video. And also what I wanted to ask, is it a big delay from the moment you write your comment and then when it appears to the screen and then when I'm talking about it? Like, how big is the delay in between, or is it okay?
That every engine has its pros and cons, right? So at the end of the day, Unreal is not necessarily better than Unity, and Godot is better than Unity. It really comes down to the developer and what they're making. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So
100%.
I think for me, like, Unity serves our team the best. I've spent 10 years harnessing my voice as a game developer. And what I mean is, like, a writer finds their voice. So Stephen King, he found his voice in his writing because he wrote and he wrote and he wrote and he wrote, and that basically cultivated his voice. Well, a game engine is a huge aspect of your voice. Like, it's second nature to me, Unity. The way that I use Unity, it's second nature. I don't even think about it, right?
Yeah.
And that means that it's so much easier to put my voice into my games because I'm not worrying about the engine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the engine is your pen, basically, and you're comfortable with the pen, and yeah, of course.
And so to sort of wrap up my little point here, Unity is the best engine for me because my voice works best with the engine. Even though Unity probably has the worst reputation right now, it has terrible support, it crashes all the time, and I'm sure you guys agree.
Yeah.
Yep. However, it complements my voice.
Yeah.
And so that's why I use it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can still get like especially like graphically, Unity has like a bad reputation where people like point out like the shadows that are forming like little stairs and that kind of stuff. And I mean,
no big delay, few seconds. I agree 1000% with Thomas. I don't care about the engines. This is not a religion. What I care is what's the path of the least resistance to deliver my game. Damn, if I have to think about it like this, then Unity, it's the engine. Because I started in Unity, I did that experiment. I can call it really a game, like the one that I posted on my channel, because it's very simple. But yeah, I'm just very open to try new things, and that's mainly it.
Yeah, the shading in Unreal just looks way better, like no questions asked. But still, we get a lot of comments or questions, like whether like Outbound would be like an Unreal game or a Unity game. So I think we did a decent job in like covering up the ugly parts of Unity and trying to make it shine as best as possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We got the question.
Yeah, it seems like
sometimes
go
from
ahead.
Publishers. We get the question, from some publishers here and there, like, well, in what engine is this? And we like to respond like, what do you think?
Yeah.
Well, another question is, what do you want? I'm curious, what do publishers want? Do they like Unity?
Oh, we didn't really ask like why they asked. No,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. The question always comes up.
I've asked, and they hands down, most publishers want Unity.
Yeah, because of the porting. Yeah,
It's the porting, and also it's really, really difficult. Unity is Unity runs terribly. So like if you have like 20 real-time lights and you've got post-processing effects and you've got no occlusion culling, and then you hit play, Unity's going to run at like 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
In the editor. And at least for me, right? And I'm on like a souped up PC.
Yeah.
The point is though, is that Unity running like that is kind of a good thing because it forces you to optimize while you're making your game. Whereas I think with Unreal, there's so many clever tools with Unreal. And what is it called? Their
Megascans library.
Megascans, and then the lighting as well.
Let's check it out. Megascans library. this looks great. I've heard someone saying that if you want the best quality out there, go for Unreal. That's what I heard. But if you want like the best and the easiest way to figure out how to play the game or stuff like that, like the programming itself, then go with Unity.
Well,
Lumen or something like that.
Lumen.
Yeah.
There's a ton of clever tools, and so you're building this world inside of a souped up PC, and then you show it to the publisher, and the publisher's amazed, and it looks incredible.
Let's see.
And then you're like, okay, let's see how it runs on PlayStation.
And let's install it on Steam
like,
with 50 gigabytes of disk storage.
Yeah. So Unity, it's like having a really, really stingy father, and he's like, I know here's $100, and here's how you spend it. And Unity is similar to that. It's like you have this many tools available to you, and you're at risk of crashing, and the frame rate's going to be low because we don't know how to optimize lighting. For some reason, Unity can't handle real-time lighting.
Yeah.
And that's, in a weird way, it's kind of a good thing because it allows your game to be actually portable. By portable, I mean it can be ported to console.
Yeah.
So
and we're dealing with all of this on a daily basis, and we are very cautious about our performance budget. And but yeah, it makes you, in a way, a better developer, I guess. I mean, you're forced to understand how things work, and forced to being able to
think about it.
Yeah.
Our ideal is to bring out Outbound on on everything, on all the consoles. Big goals. And so we're now, it's a day-to-day thinking about how to do that, and indeed the use of Unity in that case is useful. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Unreal I cannot recommend for indie devs. It's the best for 3D. Yes. Is it the most complex to use? Yes. It's overkill for a small game. I see. So it's a lot of effort for nothing, basically. Good to know.
in a way, it kind of sounds like we're like defending a toxic girlfriend.
It is.
You know?
It is.
It's actually great. She's terrible, but that's a good thing.
There are also good times, right?
But remember the good times.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's we didn't even touch on the fact that Unity tried to rip everybody off last year, but
yeah, that was when we were on the edge of switching, actually. Yeah.
But
I
don't know what happened. Wait a minute. What happened with Unity last year? Scandal or something? I don't know. Unity scandal made me go back. Okay. As the title says, I left Unity for Godot. Hold on. A few years ago, I'm just a hobbyist, but seeing so many pros trying Godot after Unity for years. Wait a minute. Hey man, there's no. Interesting. So Godot users can legitimately buy assets to use in different engines. When gets hit in commerce for speed. Okay, I see. So this was the thing. That's sad.
I was too. I remember opening up Unreal, and my computer's fan started to spin faster than they've ever spun.
Yeah.
And it took, I think, 20 seconds to load, and I was like, okay, this is cool, I guess. And so I kept using Unreal. It was cool, but the problem was the paradigm shift. It's like somebody going, stick shift. You know how to drive a stick shift. But now we're actually going to teach you how to ride a unicycle.
Drive a tank.
It's like a totally different paradigm. That's kind of how Unreal is for me.
Yeah.
It's totally different. I don't know if you guys experienced that when you tried to learn Unreal.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we started with the visual scripting stuff, and I mean, you know these graphs, right? That you connect.
Oh yeah. Blueprint.
Yeah, Blueprint. Yeah, it's called Blueprint. And I mean, there was like total different. I mean, it's not a different concept, but in a way, it feels very different handling like basic stuff. And we were googling like the most basic for loops, and I don't know what. So yeah,
It's a big learning curve.
yeah,
It certainly is. Yeah.
And it's not wrong. It's just different.
Yeah.
you know?
yeah, of course.
So, man, okay.
Yeah, Unity talks about friendliness stuff last year with changes in fees. Yeah, I saw. That's sad.
Guys, I learned so much. Thanks for hanging out. Did you want to leave the audience with anything before we wrap up here?
No, I don't think so. That
Well, I guess, I mean, we talked about it a lot, but, if you're going to make your own game or you have this great idea, make sure that there's a couple of things that you do well. The visual hook, the mechanical hook, hopefully those are the same thing or at least close, and test your stuff early. Just test it out
Yeah,
absolutely.
with the public early, and that's what we've been doing, and so far it's been
So I guess it's great that I created this YouTube channel. I can test everything we do early on, guys. Okay, let's see. Pros are trying Godot as an investment in case Unity really messes up for real and they need a plan B. I see. Okay. It's interesting how people compare Unity with Godot, but Unreal is just not there. Interesting.
it's been going great. So
yeah.
thank you for
Man, you guys are killing it.
thank you
Thanks, man.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's been very nice hanging out and talking about this.
Yeah. All right, y'all take it easy. Hey, everybody listening, there's a link in the description for Outbound. Click below, and just as a thank you for all of the words of wisdom, feel free to wishlist the game. All right, guys, thanks for chatting.
Cool.
Take it easy.
Thanks for your time, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
Nice. Okay, so we saw this one, which was great in my opinion. I hope you guys also liked it. Let's see what else. Honestly, I feel like watching something else as well. I just wanted to check their game and see what's actually on Steam. Wait. I'm not gonna play the audio. I don't wanna get any other copyright. And zoom in a bit and see what's here. It's interesting. Minecraft vibes, kinda. Just there are not only rooms. Seasons passing by with the van, I think. I really like the visuals of this game. It's great. The concept itself of having your house on top of a van, that's their hook. You may try this video, I recommend if you feel like. I mean, I would love to. I don't know if I'm gonna resist 40 more minutes. I can try my best. Wait a minute. Which this one? Okay, let's close few. It's enough. 44 minutes. I don't promise I'm gonna... I mean, it's almost 1, but... Honestly, I don't... You know what's the thing? If I'm starting a video, I want to make sure I'm finishing it on the same live stream. I don't want to create another live stream and dividing the video into parts. That's my thing. I was trying to find maybe a short video of Thomas and Andy's live stream somehow, because I hope OBS is back again. Yes. Okay. Oh, he actually posted the video 7 hours ago. Wait, I know what we're gonna watch next. Wait a minute. I have to charge my phone. I'm very sorry, Demura, but I'm gonna leave it for the next time when I will be able to watch it completely, like finish it on the same live stream, so I won't, you know, split it into parts. I can't see your comments anymore, and that is not okay, but maybe I can't. I was reading the comments from my phone, and now I actually have to open the live stream to be able to check what you guys are saying. That is not okay. Okay, come on, please. So this is gonna be the last video.
My name's Jordan. I'm up in Chattanooga.
Okay. Come on. Apparently the phone is back now. Right on time. Cool, have a good night. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Next time check from the last week. Another call indie gap. Cool, have a good night. Let's see this guy as well. Is this a YouTuber? Because I wasn't able to find him. What is this exactly? Like this one with this game? I see. This is gonna be the last video for tonight because I'm also a bit tired now.
So not too far from you, Thomas.
Cool.
And I've been a developer for a AAA developer for 10 years, programmer.
No way.
But I'm struggling with.
I'll try joining tomorrow too. I'll stay here a bit more. Thank you very much. 10 more minutes, and that's gonna be it for tonight. And thank you very much for staying all this time here. It means a lot.
Juicing up my prototype. So can you give some like simple things I can work on that can, let's say in the next month, really make it shine in a programmer art sort of way?
Well, what's your goal with the prototype?
That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure.
Your goal should be to sell it before you launch it. Okay? Now, you can sell a prototype to a publisher and they'll pay you money right now, but they're going to get, a rev share, right? Number 2, you could sell it to a Kickstarter audience and they'll pay you right now.
Okay, I love this video already. Because the concept behind it is very powerful, like what he's saying now. And the video is Lost Rare Games. Got it. Thank you very much, my buddy. Keep this in mind.
For the future product, so it's kind of like a pre-order campaign. People don't like it when I say that, but it's kind of like a pre-order campaign, except they're supporting you, right? So it's a pre-order campaign, but they're supporting you at the same time. Number 3, you need to sell it. You can sell it to a Steam audience with a demo. So a prototype is a demo. And so ultimately you can, if you don't want to sell it to a publisher and you don't want to sell it to a crowdfunding campaign, you can sell it to a Steam audience early by getting wish lists, right? So it's basically money that hasn't been, I don't know, converted into actual cash yet. A wish list, you know, if you get 100,000 wish lists, you can pretty much, you could kind of bet that you're going to get 10% of those sales, right? So that's the first thing, is that should be the goal of the prototype, at least on the actionable outcomes. You might just want a prototype because it feels good, right? I don't know. But if those are your three goals, you can do one or all of them if you want. Seriously, you can do a crowdfunding campaign, you can do you could reach out to publishers and secure funding, and you can also launch a demo, right? You can do all of those things at once, or you can do one of them, right? I highly recommend you at least do one of them. If you want to self-publish, it's the Steam demo, okay? So that's the goal of a prototype, at least what are the actual outcomes you can receive from a prototype. But there's also just having something that is a representative product of what your game is ultimately going to be, right? So a prototype is basically a super polished, shiny diamond, tiny little diamond that's hyper valuable, that represents what your game is in its best state possible. Frankly, for me, it's usually like my first 15 minutes of my game. So that first 15 minutes should be glorious. It should be the best part of your game. So your question is, what are some things to polish?
I've recently heard that the attention span, our attention span as humans, is 8 seconds, around 8 seconds. So I see why he is focusing on the first 15 minutes, because everything, you know, due to social media and what's happening nowadays with the attention span, is going way down. And the best way to succeed in everything nowadays, on social media mostly, is to deliver the best and as much as you can in the fastest way possible. So you won't make the audience waiting for you a lot of time, because they will get bored very easily. So yeah, we want them to play the game and just buy it.
Polish out my demo. What are some things that I should really focus on to make sure that my demo is either, you know, marketable to those three categories I mentioned, but also ensures that it helps you out in the long run so that you better understand your game. So for me, I'll just speak for me, a hyper-polished demo should have everything a hyper-polished game has. It's just 15 minutes, right? So you just need to be thinking, okay, I just need to make the perfect demo. That's really all there is to it. Some people would say, well, a prototype shouldn't be really polished and it shouldn't have all this beautiful artwork. For me, I like my prototypes to have all of that polish. Certainly you should start with the gameplay elements first and have them really basic and just sort of gray boxed or with no set dressing. That totally makes sense. But ultimately, for me, with a prototype, I want it to be at its fully fleshed out form, but short. So as long as you limit yourself to a few mechanics and like 15 minutes of gameplay, you can go.
I didn't realize we don't have those subtitles anymore. Maybe it's better for you guys. It's easier to follow.
All in with the set dressing. So for me, a hyper polished demo should include gorgeous set dressing. Now you can use assets if you want. You can find music. You don't necessarily have to license it yet, because it's just especially if it's private. If it's for internal use or you're pitching to a publisher, I think it's totally fine to just say, hey, we're going to use unlicensed music. And frankly, I've done that before, where you just put in stand-in music that you feel like represents your demo. Game feel is really, really important with your hyper-polished demo. So really focus on, if it's an action game, it's really punchy, it's really crunchy, it's really mulchy. There's screen shake, there's flashes on the screen where necessary. You really want to focus on that extra oomph with game feel, because a lot of times game feel is the missing factor for most of these prototypes. If you have strong game feel, you can actually get away with a lot of, poor game design, because it just feels good to play, right?
Right.
Now, all that aside, have you ever, maybe you have I talked to you, or have you heard about the Trinity hook?
I've watched a couple of your videos about the Trinity hook, yes.
Okay, can you remember what the Trinity hook is?
The
Mechanical, visual, and prototyping? Or no?
Pop quiz here.
No, off the top of my head, no.
Okay. So the Trinity hook, and this is something I would say I kind of got ahead of myself. The Trinity hook is the first thing you need to be thinking about for your prototype. Okay? Because everything you do for your prototype needs to circle back to that Trinity hook. Okay? So the first thing is, maybe I'll do a little quiz for you here. What is a hook? So let's not
A hook is just something that gets the audience or the intended audience interested.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So it's literally like, you could call it bait, actually. It's the bait on the hook. It's the shiny stuff on the lure when we're fishing. Okay? That's really what our hook is. So a lot of people try and figure out what their hook is, and they're afraid to even pin down their hook because they say, well, my game has multiple hooks. And that's why I say with the Trinity hook, you can think of the mechanical, story, and visual hook. Okay? So that's what a Trinity hook is. What's mechanically unique about your game, but not only unique, but recognizable. It catches people's attention, and they focus on it, and they think about it, and they want to see more, right? That's what a hook is. So it's a mechanical hook, a story hook, and a visual hook. So for your game, do you have any or all three of those?
The mechanical hook is a little too similar, I think, at the moment to other games. And
is that a problem, you think?
Not necessarily, but it's hard to show off that in a short trailer or.
I think it depends. Hold on. You know what? I'm gonna show you something actually, because I read something today on the internet that is really about this. 8 ways to innovate like Steve Jobs, and it's not about stealing. It's about reinventing what you've already seen, but in a different way. So you're gonna make it yours. That's what it's about.
Or like show off the interest of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So your mechanical hook you feel isn't there yet. What about your visual hook?
Visual hook is definitely not there. It's programmer art. It's squares and boxes. I'm trying to work with an artist. So, and then the story hook is also one of those twists at the end. So it's hard for me to have like an actual story hook in it.
It's a twist at the end. That's the hook.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good, because if you're going to market a game, you can't have it be a twist. Can you imagine, though, if they marketed, if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense, it's on you guys, for everyone who's listening, if I spoil it, but imagine if they marketed it as he's dead the whole time. Like, imagine if that was the tagline. Well, people would go see it because like that's kind of a cool hook. But the problem is it wouldn't pay off. It's like a thumbnail that gives away all of the information for a YouTube video. You don't want that. You want the YouTube video to pay off the thumbnail. The same is true with a hook. If your hook is only a twist at the end, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. So with you, before you even work on your prototype, you need to have all three of those. Especially if you want to be profitable with your game. But also, even if you don't want to be profitable and you just want to have a good game, it's super duper important to have these three elements for your Trinity hook. Now, obviously, you could just have a mechanical hook, or you could just have a visual hook, or you could just have a story hook and get away with it. A lot of games do. The problem is you don't want to invest in one stock portfolio when you're investing in the stock market. The same is true with a game. If you can invest in 3 hooks, you're much more likely to at least have one land, because most people think a hook is a hook and it's not a hook, right? And I've been guilty of this too. So why does it matter to get your Trinity hook before your prototype is done? Because everything about your prototype should focus on the hook. Everything should point back to the hook. Nothing should be done if it's not pointing back to the hook. Now, just to clarify here, you might say, I thought it was supposed to point back to the gameplay loop. Well, even the gameplay loop should spin around like planets orbiting the sun, which is your Trinity hook. So your gameplay hook, everything about your prototype, including the gameplay hook, circles around the Trinity hook, okay? So an example of this is if you're making a cult simulator, like Cult of the Lamb, your story hook should, or your prototype should always hit on that story hook. That first 15 minutes of gameplay, you better do everything in your power to focus your story on that one hook. You better focus everything about your mechanical hook, meaning, or you should focus your prototype on the mechanical hook as well,
Right.
which is cult simulation. And then your visual hook is this high contrast meaning it's super cartoony and super dark. That was the visual hook for Cult of the Lamb. Notice how everything they did in the first 15 minutes of gameplay was circling around that hook. And they didn't really stray from anything else. They didn't ever go outside the boundaries of that hook. The hook is the gravity of everything you do for your game. And if you don't have it, you're going to make kind of a watered down, boring game. Does that make sense?
Right. Yep.
Cool. Any questions about that?
No, not,
Cool.
not really.
Hopefully that gives you something to chew on. I think it's super duper important, and it's something that I'm still learning. So thanks for that question. It was really good.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm so tired. Thank you very much, guys, for watching and staying here with me. I hope you got something new out of this, and you learned something new as well to implement in your games, or even if you are a gamer. It's interesting to see the things from a game developer perspective, I think. Thanks for the stream. My pleasure. I'm always here as much as I can, of course, because it's my passion, YouTube and apparently game development. Have a good one, you too. Take care. Thank you very much for all the resources again. And I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. with another live stream. I hope it's gonna work perfectly fine and it's gonna be interesting as well, because if not, maybe we will end it or switch to another thing. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.